Hello, guys, and welcome along to a brand new series of Scale Up Stories. There's nothing better than starting a new series and messing up on the first couple of words. Look, it's all different at the moment, and it's all different for all of us. The pandemic's still going on. However, now we aren't going into the office. We're not allowed to. We're back in a lockdown. So the Scale Up Story setting is my bedroom at home. I have a 2-bedroom house. I have kids running about downstairs. So who knows what's going to happen throughout any of these podcast recordings. But one thing that I can promise you throughout all of these Scale Up Stories shows over the next few weeks is that I'm going to be talking to business owners from around the Southeast and maybe even slightly further afield this series as well, learning about how some of the most well-known local businesses have got to where they are today. That's what we tend to do on this show. So whether you're a business owner, a marketeer, I don't know, maybe you work within digital marketing, maybe you work within sales. This podcast is all about business owners able to come on, express their business story and tell us a little bit about their business. And today, I'm really happy that we are kicking off a brand new series with a Kent-based business, someone who we know really well, someone who I haven't caught up with in what feels like ages. It was way before COVID was even a thing. Laura Taylor, the founder of Wild Box Events. Laura, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yes, really, really good. It's good to see a lovely smiley face. It's been such a tough few weeks. First of all, how are you dealing with lockdown and how's everything going?
Yeah, I'm okay. It's obviously been bizarre and stressful, but I think doing all right. I'm quite lucky the business is located sort of at home in another building, but it means that I can still go to work because it is just at home. So that's quite good.
Which is handy. Where for me, I'm really, really struggling to like sort of find desk space and look at things. Like I've got a halo light on a chest of drawers that has our television on. I've got a window just over here to provide more light. I'm on a pop-up desk sat on my bed. It's weird. Like home's become the office. It's become the place you chill out, and it's become the place obviously where also you sleep and you spend most of your time a day. It's a bit crazy. How do you thrive in the home environment, seeing as you're used to it? Do you thrive working at home, or are you missing being out on the road at events, which usually obviously you do?
I mean, it's very office based now. Like I say, the office is at home, so I'm sitting in my office at the moment. It's difficult not being able to get out and about and sort of promoting what I do as face to face. That's been really tough because it is so, serving drinks is something that you should be doing, and what I wanted to do with Wild Box when I started was to really make it an experience for someone. So it's not just having a drink, it's about having the whole experience that goes with it, and obviously trying to now push that is quite difficult without actually being able to see anyone. So yeah, it's been challenging, and but I don't mind being here. I'm kind of used to it now, as most people are. We're getting used to it. So
yeah, we're plowing through, so to speak, and at the end of the day, jobs need to be done, and we're all grateful for the positions we're in, that we're able obviously to run our businesses as we can do from home and digitally, and obviously still to be about representing our businesses today, because it's been a tough time for so many people. And Laura, you mentioned there about some of the challenges. I can't wait to jump in with you to chat about how you've twisted and gone slightly virtual, and how you're utilizing your digital marketing methods to be able to push the message out there on what you guys do. So we're going to get into that. We're going to chat about your challenges. But first of all, you mentioned briefly there a little bit about Wild Box Events and a little bit about Wild Box and what you do. So for someone out there who doesn't know about Wild Box, tell us a little bit about your business.
Okay, so essentially we're a mobile bar, but when I first started, I wanted to try and create a mobile bar experience for weddings, festivals, parties, pretty much any event, corporate as well. That was really promoting local produce and representing Kent. And it wasn't just about serving Kent drinks, it was about telling people, how it's made, where it's been made. So I went through a lot of training with lots of distilleries, and I've been out to vineyards and all sorts, and spoke and visited where all of the products that I serve are produced. And then we've created some menus which have worked like I say, for weddings, festivals, all sorts of events, and we just try to do a really nice bespoke service, but always using local produce and almost becoming an ambassador for those local producers, some of which are very small, and it's really small batch, but they've got some amazing products, and it's just trying to showcase them really as much as we can.
You mentioned there about the local element of your business and working with local distilleries and you know, stocking local drinks and different local businesses and working with them really as part of your business. I just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what that's been like, what it's been like finding out more about the local, so to speak, produce scene, the local distilleries out there, and maybe some of the local businesses that you're working with today.
Yeah, so actually, when I started, I thought I'd just do this nice boutique-y bar, which would be an experience for more the customer. And then I started to look at the local stuff a lot more in depth. I mean, I'm a Kent girl and I love Kent, and I've always wanted to sort of design a business around it. But I didn't think I'd go quite so deep into the local side. But when I started to look up and do some research on products which were produced close to us, and then I got talking to the producers and realised just how almost there's so much going on, but actually it's a really nice close network as well of producers, and everyone seems to work and help each other, and that's what I've really I love that about Kent, and I've now got this lovely sort of collection of people that I work with, and they're all there to support me. Like, they've all been very supportive through this whole pandemic. You know, when it sort of first came about last year, I went into a little bit of a meltdown because owning an events business and then losing all of the events was slightly concerning, and I was quite new at the time as well. But yeah, so that it's basically community really. This whole this business community that we've got around us, especially in sort of the food and drink industry, is the best thing about what I do, I guess.
Yeah, do you know what? I couldn't agree more. We do a lot of work with producing Kent, and obviously we do scale up stories, and a huge part of scale up stories is having Kent produce businesses and Kent e-commerce businesses come on and talk about how they've grown and where their business have come from, and some of the stories. And as you say, the togetherness is so element within the Kent produce industry. It really is, and I also think it's the same within the Kent digital marketing industry in some ways. Like, we're all working together, we're all looking to try and elevate the work we do, and the importance, I think, of what we do for businesses out there, for them to adapt and want to be a part of it and want to take it up, especially with digital marketing and how businesses are scaling within that at the moment. So I can completely 100% resonate with that. And you mentioned at the start of that about you being a Kent girl, Laura. So where did your story start? Where did the idea of Wild Box come from at the very beginning?
Okay, so so I actually used to work for Land Rover. So I was working with Barrett's, and
did you get a
was
car?
made redundant. I did, yeah.
Love it.
I had a nice car, and hence why I have got a car now as well. They did me a good deal, should we say. I bought that when I had the staff discount allowance still.
I'll tell you what, don't let my missus hear that from you, because she'll be asking me to see what the mates rates are like. So let's not go down that route.
So I used to work for Land Rover, love the job, but I was actually not in a particularly great place mentally, and it was quite obvious, I think, between amongst my colleagues and stuff, and a few things changed in the industry, which then sort of led to a redundancy, which was probably the best thing which has ever happened to me, actually. We had an old horse box here, which was mine from when I was a kid and used to go jumping all over the county. And I just thought, oh God, I've got to do something with that horse box. So I actually spent all my redundancy money doing up this old horse box into a bar. And that's kind of where Wild Box started. I've always done outside bars for Shepherd Neame, like their point to points and other events, which is, I've had lots of bar experience that way. But I definitely noticed that there was a bit of a gap for something a bit more boutiquey and special for events. So that's kind of where Wild Box started, but it's definitely way different to what I thought it was going to be. I thought maybe it'd be something that I do on the side of an actual job. I say actual job like because it still feels like I'm in a bit of a bubble at the moment. But I thought it might be just something which earns me a bit of extra money on the side. And then I just started to develop it and became obsessed with it, and that's what I am now pretty much. So it's
I mean, I've seen
ideas.
I was going to say, I've seen you out and about, and it's amazing. You know, the portable bar, as you say, the horse box that you have, the way you styled that, the way it looks, and even your branding, Laura. Like, I think as a business, as a local business, I think you look really approachable. I think you look really professional. I think you look really slick, and you know, but also when you go on like your social media and stuff, I think your personality also shines through, which is obviously a big part of the business. And and you're obviously working with other businesses coming together. It's a huge attraction of what you guys do. I was just going to ask, obviously you mentioned there, you came out of the job, you had the horse box, you wanted to do something with it, you saw an opportunity. We always talk and say, God, I'd love to get an old van and make it into a caravan, or I'd love to get an old, like, do you know what I mean? Like Volkswagen, and sort of turn it into like something that I take around the world. Have you always had a little bit of a creative eye then to be able to pull that project off? Because obviously it's not just about building a business, it's also about building your environment as well. Like, you made that horse box to be what you wanted it to be. So have you always been quite creative on that extent?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I've there was a stage where I had about 10 different hobbies, and it might have been dressmaking, painting. You know, I've always got something on the go. So yeah, definitely got a creative side to me. But the horse box, again, it kind of evolved. I had this idea. I knew that I wanted to call it Wild, and that was because of where we live. Like, grew up in Selling, just outside Faversham, and it's, you know, on a bad stormy day, it is wild out here. We're on the back of a valley, and it's just crazy. But also, you know, I don't know, that's kind of just a bit me, really. So I thought, I always knew what I wanted to call it, and then I started to get an idea of what I wanted it to look like. I've made mood boards, and this didn't actually just come overnight. The idea of Wild and creating the mood boards happened probably a year before, but it was just, you know, a pipe dream, thought never going to happen. And then redundancy is kind of what pushed me to actually do it. But yeah, I'm definitely creative. Always got my brain's constantly working, thinking, oh, I could turn that into this or this into that. And so yeah.
It's always so fascinating hearing the process that business owners go through when creating a new business. As it says, as you've mentioned it sounds like you've done your due diligence. I can never say that word. You went through the mood boards, you went through everything you needed to do to potentially get to a point where you could make Wild Box a business, although it wasn't in your wildest dreams, so to speak, for it to become your sole business, you know, the sole thing you're always working on. But how did that feel, that moment where, you know, it was done, you were talking to distilleries, you were then moving on to that point where you're actually like, do you know what, I've now got let's call it for the argument's sake, I've actually got a product here that I can now take out to events. I've got something here that could be, you know, a viable business opportunity. How did it feel at that point to be like, I'm now a business owner?
Yeah, that was a bit crazy. So I actually I go back to the redundancy thing because it kind of was a big part of it. So after I was made redundant, and I threw all the money into doing the horse box up, I actually went to Bali for a month, and that was just to give myself some headspace, but it also gave the people that were doing the conversion, because I mean, this horse box was old, it was rotten, like basically the whole thing had to be changed. Would have been so much cheaper me just buying another one, to be honest. But I went to Bali and I did a lot of the branding side of stuff was done out there. But when I came back, that's kind of when I realised that actually I now own a business, and it was then after that I started going out to all the distilleries and moulding it into something that I wanted. And then when I did my first event, which was at the end of March. So this whole process started like at the beginning of the January, and then at the end of March I had my first event, and it was petrifying, and it just kind of felt like I was back to basics. I was winging it, and I couldn't make the sum up machine work, and the drinks were all thrown together, and it was just all a bit like, oh God, I don't really know what I'm doing here. But it's just grown and grown and grown. And I think, again, going back to the people that I was speaking, so the distilleries and the vineyards and stuff that I was talking to, and having their sort of support and backing, that's kind of when it did feel like it was a real business. But I mean, I actually think probably being in the COVID situation and lockdown has definitely made it feel more like a business than what it was before, because I was still in such an early point to it. Like last year was meant to be the big year of all the events. The year before, when I started, was just sort of finding my feet a little bit, and doing a lot of the planning and research, but it was mainly for last year. So
yeah, and obviously last year hit. Obviously teething problems are always going to happen, but I don't think we can ever call last year and the effects it had as teething problems. It was detrimental for so many different businesses. As you said, it was going to be a big year for you. How did that feel? How did looking, because I had this conversation at the start of the year when it came to setting goals for this coming year. Last year I had so many aspirations, I had so many goals, I had so many different boxes that I really wanted to tick, and that's just me as an employee of a business, trying to help obviously Digital Beans grow. Yourself as a business owner, it's obviously your income, it's your livelihood, it's your life, it's something you're putting together. How did that all feel to sort of see those plans slightly disappear in the moment, I suppose, is the only way I can put it?
Yeah, I mean, it was horrific. I cried for about 10 days solid. I couldn't function, because it was just a bit of a snowball effect. It kind of like there was one day that I got a cancellation, and then it was like every hour I was just getting a phone call saying it's been cancelled, it's been cancelled, it's been cancelled. And it was all, I got to this sort of like the end of the week, and I just thought, I can't cope with this anymore, cannot do this. And I just had to remove myself from the whole Wild Box situation, shall we say. And I kind of just sat back and thought, right, well, I don't have anything to fall back on. There isn't, it's kind of like you make it work, or you're just done, really, because there wasn't another option. So that's when I started like really pushing the marketing side and thought, right, well, we could do Wild Box home delivery, have that great drink experience at home. But I mean, it was so amateur and basic when I first started, and it was it wasn't great what I was doing. I was literally just dropping a bottle of gin round to people. I was having to apply for a TENS license every week, just in order for me to be able to do the deliveries, which, just now I think about it, was crazy, and I was not really earning any money out of it either. It was just more of something to keep me going and to keep have some content for social media, really. That was what it was doing. Financially, it was not brilliant. Like, we were a new business, we're on home premises, and we've got no I'm not paying rent because it's like in my back garden, essentially. So there was no like financial support really from the government. So that was difficult as well. And it's just been really tough. But it took a sort of the negatives and have just turned it into the best that we can, really, at the moment. And it's actually worked in our favour. But it was a long time before it got to this. Like, it took a while to get there. So.
I was going to say, and a big positive from all this is that you saw something as a business owner. As you said, originally when you started a business, you saw an opening, and unfortunately, plans didn't happen as part of the bigger picture because of the pandemic that hit, that couldn't have been foresighted from yourself or anyone out there. There's nothing you could have done about that, but you got your thinking cap on, the creativity just, so to speak, oozed out of you, and you found a way to make sure that Wild Box continues and thrives. Let's say it thrives. You said at the start you were handing off bottles of gin and stuff, but then that turned into home, like obviously DIY kits and the virtual sessions as well. You managed to really spin it. So tell me, coming out the back of, you said obviously is a really tough time for you personally and for the business, coming off the back of that to then getting the support from so many people and so many plaudits for what you were doing, bringing people together virtually. Where did that idea come from? And how happy are you with the way that the business has been able to adapt virtually during these times?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, I had the idea right at the beginning, and I mean, I was trying to push it for probably about 6 weeks and had no bookings at all. And what I was probably going to be sending out was nothing like what I'm sending out now. So I was really lucky. I had one booking, and it was from a girl who just happens to be a bit of a serial networker. So she booked a class for her work colleagues, and we just made 3 cocktails over Zoom, and it was like my laptop was kind of resting on top of some crisp boxes. I was chucking some flowers behind me to make it look like a bar. It was, oh God, it was awful. But it was such a learning curve. So from that, we're now doing, I've got probably 150 boxes going out a week just for the virtual side of things. So from not a lot to being like, I've got a whole business based around virtual cocktail making classes at the moment. And it's actually, as from a business point of view, it's got us so much more, it's got us into a lot more places, should we say, because before we were an events company which would do larger events. You might not have a back garden, you might not be having a wedding, you might not be going to a festival, so you're actually not going to see Wild Box. Whereas now you can order your cocktail making kit and do a class with friends, and it's not sort of out of your price point, and you can do it from home, and it's a way to bring people together, for one, but also from my point of view, it's definitely expanded my audience. So that's been really good. And it's got us recognition from some really great companies. We've been in Vogue this year, and Tatler, and Vanity Fair did a class with us, which is just mad. Just to think that they've even seen my product is amazing. And then they listed us on their list of top 20 Christmas drinks for 2020 as well. So that went out with, just to be even an association with Vanity Fair is amazing. So I was really proud of that. But I think going forward, it's given us maybe it's given me a new look on what I want to do. So obviously I've got the event stuff, which I can't wait to get back out and doing, but the virtual side of things, I'm going to continue as much as possible. Got some new offerings coming out. So I said about the cocktail making classes, we're actually going to do gin tasting now, and hopefully it should be launched tomorrow. We're going to be doing some bits with a local brewer called Brew Box, and it's about looking at all of the different ingredients which go into the beers. There's a bit of a Q&A with some brewers, and it's just going to be something different. So I feel like the business and trying to push that whole Wild Box experience I hate to say it, but it's actually done me a bit of a favour, because it's pushed me to a new level, should we say.
Without going into like profitability and stuff like that, because I don't ask you questions like that, but having this virtual offering and being able to do the kits for you, obviously beforehand it was obviously you going to events with the horse box, and that was the business model. You'd be there, you'd be at a party, you'd be all different places. Obviously there's bigger pictures to be able to get out to festivals and drinks festival and bits and pieces like that. But for you now, do you feel like by having this extra offering as a business, actually you can scale far much more than maybe you believed at the very start?
I mean, it's brought a whole sort of different side to the business, which could actually run sort of all year round, whereas it was very seasonal before, and that's obviously brilliant. There is sort of peaks and troughs to the year, but the Zoom stuff, I mean, at the moment, every time we go into a lockdown, I kind of get fully booked. So we've got that side of things with the virtual experience classes, but then also the like gift box side of things that we do, and the home kits, that is continuous. That can be like a continuous revenue, and it's allowed me to sort of take money out of that side of things and invest it into the next bit. And actually the horse box is such a small element of the business now. It's kind of, that's like where it started, and it's the showpiece, should we say, for it. But even from a bar point of view, it's not really the whole picture. That's only one element of the bars that we do, and it's so it's definitely allowed a lot of growth.
We're working at the moment with so many businesses. It's going to lead me on perfectly to the next question at the moment. Working with so many businesses on e-commerce and subscriptions and gift boxes, and you mentioned gift boxes there. So for you, is the next element to the business these additional revenue streams? Having a look at how you've got the virtual classes, and obviously you're doing stuff virtually, but to go that next step and look at how you can expand your potential even e-commerce offering to be able to make sure that you're making money as well. Obviously through your website whilst you're asleep, and as you say, not so it's not as seasonal.
Yeah, so we've got the we do the gift boxes and stuff, and they're obviously on the website now, and you can order them whenever you like. But they've taken a while to refine, because of what I want to try and get out of them is, I want to make sure. Sorry, my phone's ringing. I'm just going to turn that off. Oh gosh. So this is always like running this business. There's always go. We wanted to like with the gift boxes, how I can move that forward is do subscriptions. That's what I want to do, but it's been quite difficult trying to refine them, because of I want to use fresh ingredients in them, because fresh makes it taste better. It's trying to get a product which still tastes amazing but has then got longevity to it, and it's challenging. But the idea is that we're going to be doing subscription boxes, more around the gin tasting, because actually that's where I kind of started, and then keep the gifting side up, and then just also evolve that, because I've got 5 set boxes on there at the moment, but really what I want to be doing is more seasonal stuff, so that I'm looking at exactly what's in season at the time, and then altering the cocktails just slightly to whatever's available. But yes, I mean, it's difficult. It's just my mind is like constantly thinking of new ideas, and it's how I don't know how I make this go to paper.
I mean, at the moment, there's so many businesses adapting and coming up with new ideas, looking at digital, looking at virtual. It's a minefield. Like, there is just so much going out there, and there's so much potential. And then also, like, for instance, obviously the different people you talk to, the different ideas you get, the different ways to do things. Like, there's so many different options out there at the moment for business owners. I completely get why, sometimes it's just like an absolute mind-blowing experience. And I think what's great though is that listening to you there, that you're sort of looking now at the business, and you're really I want to say, like, paving out that pavement, that journey that you want to really go on now, and where you want to go and what you want to do. And obviously there's still uncertainty around events, so even if we rewound the clock, so to speak, 2 or 3 years, maybe your goalposts are in a different place right now. But I sort of ask every guest this question. When you started out in business and you started out with Wild Box, did you set yourself a mission? Was there something you wanted to primarily achieve with the business within, so to speak, 5 years? And where do you think you are now with that?
Yeah, so I mean, when I started, all I wanted to do was create an experience when people had a drink. And then, like I say, it evolved with the Kent produce, and then it evolved a little bit more with the styling of the bars. And it was just sort of each day, it was kind of, I could definitely see improvement. And now when I look back, actually, I can see that improvement more than what it was when it was happening, which I think happens quite a lot in business. But I think in the grand scheme of things, I'm probably further along now than what I thought I would be, and maybe what I would have been actually if it was just the event side of things going ahead. Because go back to being in business or doing business with people that I would have never been in contact with unless I was doing this virtual stuff, which has kind of pushed me ahead. And off the back of that, you know, there's more bookings and more exposure, and you know, my social media sort of the people that are following me has gone from maybe like, well, not very many to quite a lot now. So it's pushed that side of things as well. Everyone's on their phones, obviously, so having that content all the time is definitely helped me. But yeah, it's such a hard journey to be on, because I thought that I would be at a certain place and I'm completely not there, not even really with what I'd set out to do. It's a completely different path, but it's for the better, I think, and that's good. So yeah.
Are you harsh on yourself, Laura, when it comes to goal setting and like sort of everything you do and where you want to go and what you want to achieve? Are you quite like determined and are you quite harsh on yourself if you're if so to speak, even if so, like and again, just putting this out there because I'm a similar person. I've got a similar personality trait to that. Even if I've got somewhere else a different way, I still criticize myself for not getting there the way. Does that make sense? Are you similar?
Oh God, yeah. Everything that I do, I look at and I criticize, and it's not good enough, and it's just, yeah, it's never enough. But then I think that is why you do improve. Like that's what makes you get to a point where you can look back and think, actually, that that is not you know, you can see how far you've grown. Like I look at the first boxes that I sent out and blimmin' awful. And now I look at them and think, oh, they're all right, but they've got more work to be done to them. And that's like all that happening all the time. There's always work to be done, but I'm very harsh on myself.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, you know, sometimes it's nice for someone like me to sit on it. And I was going to ask you a question actually about social media and stuff, and how you've sort of gone on that journey with your digital marketing and also your gift boxing and what you sort of said there. But I actually think, like, instead of asking you a question about it, I want to make a sort of a bit of a statement. I actually think, like, sometimes when we do scale up stories, obviously, you know, it's always great to talk to businesses that are growing and on an upward trajectory and are doing amazing things locally and within the Southeast. But also, I think it's really nice to talk to businesses who aren't just scaling when it comes to profitability, but also scaling it when it comes to their business going in different places, going in different directions, and quite clearly in front of your own eyes evolving. I think Wild Box is and yourself, Laura, you're one of those businesses. I think some of the stuff you're doing at the moment, organic social media is hard to get right, and you will never, even though sometimes maybe you feel like you will never get exactly the results you deserve through organic social media, because it's always difficult. Reach is always difficult. Sometimes you wonder why one post has less likes than another, and why why there isn't always clients coming through it, etc., etc. It's just because the social media world is such a minefield. But I think the quality of stuff you guys are doing, or you are doing, and I don't know if there are other people involved with this, so maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that journey in a second. But I also think that the personality and the way you portray your business online is really approachable, and it's really great. And I definitely think that's one area where I think that you should pat yourself on the back. I think the quality of what you're doing there and the way that you said, like, where you've learned from the very beginning to where you are now, I think that's really commendable. And I think you guys are going on a great journey with that. So I can only say well done for that. And sort of ask the question, where do you think you are with that? Are you enjoying the social media journey? Do you feel like you've come along way with the quality of even content you're putting out at the moment?
Yeah, I feel like it's got more of an identity now, which is good. Before it was kind of, I was scraping around for pictures. There was not really a flow to it. So I think that now I've got more of an identity, and that is quite pleasing to be able to see that, you know, you run through my Instagram feed and you can tell it's a Wild Box picture, which is what you like I was aiming for. But it is just me doing it, so I don't think that it's the best that it could be. Again, criticizing myself, but I think there's a long way to go with it. I do actually only do organic marketing really with it. I haven't done any, or I've done the odd paid advert, but at the moment, you know, I'm very fortunate to be in a position where word of mouth has kind of that keeps me going. I don't need to market it too much, especially with the virtual stuff. So that's really great. But yeah, there's lots of work to be done on social media, and I'm sure I'll probably get some people saying, "Oh, you should do this, you should do that." After this.
You're doing a great job. Honestly, you're doing a great job, and the way you're coming across, and the fact that you're also booking up when you need to, and just scaling without having to invest in digital marketing, so to speak, I think actually shows how sort of how your message is being heard, and how it's working. And like you say, there is also no point in spending money on digital marketing if the opportunity isn't there to be able to scale that. So maybe when the gift boxes come back in a little bit more on the subscription service, that's the time to invest in digital marketing. Right now, where you only have so much time in a day and so many slots available for the virtual cocktail making sessions, maybe now's not the time. So to never feel pressured into that. It's always a natural evolution, I believe, digital marketing for a business. And as is progression. And I think to end this podcast, the best question to ask, I think you've dug into it slightly, but I'm going to ask it outright anyway. We're in uncertain times. Obviously, you can't get the horse box out at the moment, but you're doing so many amazing things virtually. But it's always hard to set goals at the moment. We've mentioned that too. I'm sort of repeating myself on that. But what's next for Wild Box? What's next for you, do you feel?
I'm telling my secrets now. So the ideas are, because I really want to sort of expand on the whole experience side of things. You know what? I don't know how long it's going to take, but the goal is to be able to have some sort of bar, or it might even be mobile still, maybe in a converted shipping container. But what I want to do is trying to really promote the Wild Box experience as much as possible, and have it so that it's somewhere people can come along and visit, and it's like the horse box, you know, glammed up to the eyeballs, and very Wild Boxy. I always say that it's kind of like sparkly dresses in welly boots. That's my sort of brand identity, should we say. But yeah, I want to sort of create more of an experience centre, so that I can do exactly what I've been doing virtually, but face to face with people. I'm not sure how long that's going to take to get there, and I think probably between getting to that point and now, it will be more like going to different venues, and then creating that experience where people can then come to that venue to do it. But that's the long-term goal, is to actually have my own venue, should we say.
that sounds like an amazing experience, like that to be able to move around, like, so to speak, different stations within one place, and to be able to experience exactly what you're doing from what you were saying there. That sounds amazing. And look, you'll get there, Laura. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And if you keep pushing like you are, and you keep expanding on what you're doing at the moment, I can't see anything but Wild Box becoming a really recognizable brand, not just here in Kent, but also the Southeast. And you know, with everything that's happening virtual, as you said, the massive target audience you've got now, you can take a Wild Box virtual event absolutely anywhere in the UK and beyond. Who knows where there's expat communities that want to get involved. So absolutely amazing. Fantastic to chat to you, Laura. Thank you for coming on Scaled Up Stories. Just quickly, before we end the podcast, where can people find out more about Wild Box, and where can they potentially put in an order?
So if you'll go to my website, www.wildboxevents.co.uk, or across my social media, that's where you'll find me, and all my contact details are on there as well. So it'd be great to speak to any of you who'd like to book up a virtual event, or
yes,
whatever, really, for the future.
I am getting onto Pip right now and saying that we need a virtual event to happen. We need a couple of drinks inside us right now and a get together. Laura Taylor from Wild Box, thank you so much for coming on. That's where you can find Wild Box. You know where you can check out more Scale Up Stories episodes. We're currently getting all the podcasts out from season 1, and then season 2 will follow. But make sure you follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on LinkedIn. Digital Beans is the name across social media, but also on your podcast platform. Just search Scale Up Diaries or Scale Up Stories, and that's where you'll be able to find out more of me and Pip talking about the scaling of Digital Beans, and me with other business owners talking about how they are scaling up their businesses. For now, have an amazing rest of your week. Next Tuesday, we'll be chatting to Sally, the founder of Simply Ice Cream. We'll speak to you guys soon. Take care.